Right, so I've been trying to find something that I can do to just be a bit more creative. I like to learn new skills, and I thought, shoe customizing or shoe personalizing is something that looked quite interesting, it looked quite fun, and so I'm giving that a shot. And this video is essentially just going to be me showing the process, talking through some of the things that I learned, as well as some of the tips and maybe techniques and things to keep in mind while customizing your first pair. All of the other tutorials that I've seen are people that have been doing it for a really long time, so I thought this might bring a fresh perspective to anyone that's looking to, I guess, start customizing shoes. First things first, you want to remove the laces. This is so you obviously have nothing in your way when you're painting, and obviously you don't mess up your laces. So just take these off, put them to one side. Next, you want to prime your shoe. Now, what I'm using here is an angleless primer, and essentially this is acetone. And what this does is removes the factory finish from the shoe, and this obviously allows the paint to stick better to the leather. Yeah, so this is a really important part. You want to pick and choose the parts of your shoe, obviously, that you can paint, and only acetone those. Naturally, you don't need to do the whole shoe if that's not what you're painting. And make sure you get a really generous coat on. It should start to feel a bit sticky, and yeah, so just make sure you scrub a few times on each panel that you're planning to paint. Next, obviously if you have a certain color that you want to start painting, you'll obviously have to mix your paints. I am just doing something very basic and using paint from the bottle. And yeah, what you want to do is apply thin coats in multiple layers. And as you can see, I've just finished up the first coat, going horizontally, and then use a hairdryer or a heat gun if you have one to just help the paint dry quicker, saving you a bit of time. And now with your second coat, what I find is it's always good to go in the same direction, paint in the same direction, and then switch over to vertical or horizontal. This way you kind of fill in all the small gaps, and hopefully result leaves it with a pretty clean finish where you don't see the brush strokes. I found that 3 layers tends to do the trick, but obviously it's not balanced or well enough to more or less, depending on the paint that you're using. So you just go ahead, do the rest of the shoe in the multiple layers, making sure each panel has the exact same coat. Otherwise you might find some sections might be a bit darker than others. And then once again using the heat gun to help dry quicker so that you're able to get the paint on more frequently, saving you time. I find using a medium to small brush tends to help a lot. For the bigger panels, I think something more medium size works great. It gives you the sort of flexibility to get close to the edges while still covering a good amount of surface. Just be very careful. Make sure you don't get the paint anywhere you don't want. If you do end up doing that, you need to wipe it off straight away or paint over it at the end, because it can be a bit tricky to remove. For the swoosh or the tip, I've used a smaller brush, and I'm using a different paint. This one's slightly darker, I think it's more brown. But yeah, once again follow the same sort of techniques. Use sort of thin layers of paint in multiple coats. Now because this paint is darker than the other one, I found 2 coats was enough, but I did 3 just in case. And yeah, the result's looking very nice. Just take your time. Make sure you get all of the white space covered within an even coat. That way you get the best results. I didn't really go into panels that I wasn't meant to paint on, so that's great. Now just to finish up, once you've got the paint on, you want to use a finisher. And what I have here is an angleless matte finisher, and what this essentially does, it seals the acrylic onto the leather, just giving it a once over finish, so that it protects it from any sort of like weathering damage and all of that stuff. So yeah, make sure you apply a generous coat to the panels that you've painted and give it some time to sit on the side, probably about like 5-10 minutes should be enough. Now once you've done that, you can go ahead and put your laces back in, or if you had a very specific sort of customized idea, you can use colored laces or whatever it might be, but go ahead and put them back in, and yeah, you're pretty much finished. This is the result. I think the shoes turned out really nice. The colors are very strong, the colors have stuck on properly, the lines are very clean. A couple of things I would say that I didn't get a chance to do is paint across the rubber at the bottom, as well as the stitching on the back. I didn't realize I didn't have the correct sort of paint primers for that. They turned out really well, considering it is a simple design and pretty much just a color combination. I think this is a very viable way to, I guess, be creative. The idea is to start drawing characters and more intricate designs onto these and selling them. If anyone is interested in some shoes, any specific colors and stuff, then give me a shout. I think these turned out really well, and I hope you guys all learned something. And if you have any sort of tips and tricks that might help me become a better shoe painter, for lack of better terminology. But yeah, I think these turned out really nice. Peace.